There is a silent divorce happening right before our eyes, a breakup without noise, without tears, but one that shakes the entire world. The one who leaves is paper money. The one who stays is real value. In the previous episode, we witnessed the divorce between paper and silver when real value began to demand justice. But today, the story is much bigger because after silver walked away, the forgotten child, rare earths, has risen. And the battle to win custody of that child is setting the world on fire. You can almost hear it, the quiet ripping sound of a system tearing apart. Every policy meeting, every trade war headline, every market tremor, it's all part of the same divorce. It's not about money anymore. It's about who gets to define what's real. Long ago, people believed that governments could print money to create wealth. A push of a button, a few sheets of paper, and the miracle of growth appeared. For a long time, it really worked. The world got richer, markets exploded, stocks soared. Everyone believed that paper could represent gold, silver, and real assets. But then, the numbers could no longer hide the truth. Because math doesn't lie. When money is printed faster than goods, when public debt grows faster than productivity, and when GDP balloons only through borrowing, the whole world suddenly realizes they've been living inside an illusion printed with ink. And then one day, real value started to fight back. And the sound of that rebellion, it wasn't an explosion. It was quieter. The hum of machines, the roar of drills deep in the earth. While central banks played with numbers, miners dug up the truth. And truth, unlike money, can't be printed. While America kept printing more dollars, China was digging deeper into the ground. While Wall Street cheered for tech and AI stocks, Beijing quietly hoarded every ounce of metal, every grain of sand rich in rare earths, every ton of silver, every bar of lithium. Both sides knew the future wouldn't be written on paper, but forged in elements. To make it simple, without rare earths, there is no technology. Without rare earths, there are no electric cars, no smartphones, no radar, no batteries, no AI. And China now controls 70% of the world's rare earth production and up to 90% of refining capacity. They own the entire supply chain from the mine to the factory. The U.S. knows that, and they are afraid. Because if one day China says, "We're stopping exports," the entire Western world would go dark. It's not just a trade imbalance. It's a power imbalance. Think about it. One nation controls the minerals that make the modern world tick. Who really holds the future? The country printing digits or the one holding dirt that glows? This story began long ago, back in the 1990s. While the West was busy chasing financial bubbles, China was planting roots in every mine, every refinery. They accepted pollution, low prices, and cheap labor just to gain control. In 2010, China cut off rare earth exports to Japan over a dispute in the East China Sea. Prices of rare earths jumped 700% within weeks. The world panicked, and Beijing realized they had just found the power switch. That single act was a warning shot, and the echo never faded. Every nation watching that moment learned one rule: control the elements, and you control the empire. 30 years later, they did it again, this time to America. When Washington banned selling chips to China, Beijing struck back by restricting exports of gallium and germanium, two critical metals for semiconductors, a deadly move straight into America's tech heart. And the U.S.? What did they do? They began hunting for forgotten resources. Argentina, a country few ever noticed, suddenly became the new gold nugget because Argentina holds 21 million tons of lithium, the second largest reserve on Earth. In August 2024, the U.S. signed a strategic minerals cooperation deal with Argentina, pledging investment, technology, and even security support in return for priority access to Argentina's lithium supply. The package reached around $3.5 billion USD, combining financial aid, mining tech transfers, and soft loans from IFC and EXIM Bank, called by the media the historic lithium handshake. Washington called it green investment. Beijing called it taking back the supply chain. But behind the scenes, it was a custody battle, fought not with lawyers, but with lithium. Meanwhile, China never stopped accumulating. In 2024, it imported 6 times more silver than in 2020. New warehouses of rare earth reserves were built. Refining plants sprouted like mushrooms. They made no noise. They simply kept hoarding. And with every new ton of ore they secured, the dollar's strength weakened a bit more. You can almost imagine the scene. Giant cargo ships filled with silver and metals sliding through the fog at night, while global markets sleep, unaware that power is literally being moved across oceans. But the real battlefield of this divorce wasn't only underground, it was also on the world's financial table. When the U.S. and its allies froze over $300 billion of Russia's reserves and cut Russian banks off from SWIFT, the world gasped. A superpower had just been kicked out of the monetary system, and within days, other nations began to fear for themselves. Because if your foreign reserves can vanish with a single sanction, who can ever feel safe again? And so, trust in the dollar started to crack. Countries quietly shifted their reserves into gold, silver, oil, and physical assets, things that cannot be frozen. That's why China, India, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil all increased their gold and metal reserves sharply over the last 2 years. In the halls of global finance, whispers turned into panic. What if we're next? They asked. And every whisper was another fracture in the dollar's empire. At the same time, the tariff war between the U.S. and China kept escalating. Since 2018, both sides have imposed tariffs totaling more than $550 billion in traded goods. The U.S. taxed electronics, batteries, and EV parts. China retaliated with duties on semiconductors, rare metals, and renewable energy components. Those taxes didn't just raise prices, they deepened the divide. Whoever controls raw materials survives. Every tariff, every counterstrike, like two titans throwing punches while the rest of the world ducks for cover, and the ground beneath them. It's starting to crack. And then came another shockwave. London, the world's silver hub, began running short of physical metal. Funds and banks were forced to ship real silver from the U.S. to the U.K. to stay liquid. Reports showed that in the second quarter of 2025, more than 1,200 tons of silver were urgently transported from New York to London to refill the drained COMEX vaults. A clear signal. Faith in paper silver contracts was collapsing, and only physical silver still held real value. The old world is literally melting down its illusion of paper wealth and rushing back to metal. It's not theory anymore. It's logistics. Then came the moment no one expected. China tightened rare earth exports again. America roared back with threats of sanctions. But you can't sanction the one who owns the resources. You can sanction someone who prints paper, not someone who owns the mine. With China holding the supply, the U.S. scrambled to find new allies. They turned to Brazil, Chile, Argentina, the lithium triangle. They poured tens of billions into building a brand new supply chain. But such projects take at least 5 to 7 years to replace China. Meanwhile, Beijing only needs one decision, and global markets tremble. For every action America takes, China already holds a counter. This isn't economics anymore. It's chess with the planet itself as the board. And so, the divorce between paper and real value officially entered its custody battle. Both sides wanted the same child, rare earths, the power source of the 21st century. Paper said, "I can buy anything. I'll just print more." Real value smiled and replied, "But you can't print me." On the surface, the dollar still looks strong. The USD index stays high, U.S. markets still vibrant. But underneath, the foundation is cracking. The more they print, the thinner the trust becomes. The more promises they make, the fewer believe. Today, many countries no longer want to hold dollars. They start trading in gold, silver, oil, and even their own currencies. BRICS is testing a new payment system. Saudi Arabia now accepts oil payments in yuan and gold. Those are signs of a system changing hands. The empire of paper is still standing, but the termites of truth are already inside the walls. This story is no longer about if, it's about when. When nations stop believing in promises, when they demand real goods instead of paper IOUs, the divorce will be complete. And then we will witness power no longer lies with the printer, but with the one who owns the resources. And when that day comes, markets won't just fall, they'll reset. The charts, the forecasts, the Wall Street illusions, all rewritten by metal and minerals. So who will win? America, with its technology, finance, and military might, or China, with control over the physical backbone of modern life. The truth is, no one truly wins. Only those who understand early will still stand, because when two giants fight for custody, the small ones get crushed if they don't step aside. This isn't just a competition, it's a countdown. And that is the warning for investors today. If you still believe paper money is safe, that stock indexes will always rise, that the dollar will rule forever, then you are sleeping on a cracking mountain. Smart investors don't choose words, they choose real assets. They buy metals. They hold silver, gold, energy, even shares in rare earth companies. They understand that in a world where everything can be printed, only what cannot be printed is truly valuable. Because in every collapse, there's one simple truth. When everyone runs to the exit, only those holding something real make it out alive. Because in the end, this isn't a collapse. It's nature correcting itself, a correction of truth. When illusions fall away, reality surfaces. When paper burns, metal still shines. Remember this, the marriage between money and value has ended. The wedding ring of gold has fallen from its finger, and the world is choosing who gets custody. Real assets. The only question left is, which side will you take? The side that prints, or the side that digs? The side of paper, or the side of metal? The side of illusion, or the side of substance? Because in the new world, power belongs to those who hold what others cannot print. Silver, rare earths, energy, the three true bloodlines of civilization. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of the age of real assets. Paper burns. Metal endures. Paper burns. Metal survives. And if you want to walk into this new age, stay on this channel where we decode the future of real wealth, because what's coming next will change the world forever.